Hello, everyone, my dear viewers, and thank you for coming to my channel. And before you start the video, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. I will be very pleased, so let's go. The lawsuit is the youngest pupil of the Heavenly Empire helping the witch escape from captivity for unknown reasons, only to be imprisoned for this act himself. A year later, he gives him his release and his astral swords on the condition that he tracks down a purebred witch. After reuniting with their Jin comrades, N and Miss 907, the four travel to the disputed territory where the Empire protects the power plant from the astral mages of Misty Sovereignty. His unit soon engages in battle with several wizards, and he manages to defeat without killing anyone. However, the purebred witch of the ice disaster Alice Rislu has not been since the 9th. She herself goes to the battlefield and destroys the power plant of the Empire with her magic. Alice and the suit eventually fight in a draw, with both expressing their desire to end the ongoing war. After that, Alice retreats. Later, Alice attends the opera with her maid, Irene, when the man who is sued gives her a handkerchief. Iska got a ticket to the opera in the neutral Ainu state and accidentally sat down next to Alice. Alice Irina goes to the nearest restaurant only to be at the table where the heroes order the same dishes. Later that evening, Alice's mother, the Queen of Nebulis, mentions that the seal on the founder of Nebulis is loosening and hints that this may be related to a fencer whom Alice had previously fought. The next day, the lawsuit and Alice accidentally meet again in vain, as they simultaneously visited the art gallery. After this, lawsuit falls asleep on the shoulder of the Alice, embarrassing her. Meanwhile, the actor agreed to reinstate the claim as a holy pupil if he caught the witch of the ice disaster. Yiska arrives at Division 907 when Rizia tells him the Actet wants to see him. They tell him that they want him to get close to the witch of the ice disaster. When he returns to his room, the lawsuit asks Miss if he can go to a neutral city. She agrees, provided that she goes with him. Meanwhile, at the palace, Rin gives Alice a file on the claim. After talking to her mother, she tells the maid that she wants them to go to a neutral city. The next day, Miss, Alice, and Liren meet in a neutral city. After the lawsuit explains why he saved the last year, Alice asks him to desert the army. Before he can answer, they are attacked by the free founder of Nebulis. During the battle, Rin was wounded. As soon as Miss Missy goes to the hospital with her, the lawsuit and Alice team up to defeat the founder. In the city of Jurak, 907 Division plays slot machines in the casino. Meanwhile, Alice and Rin arrive there too. When Alice breaks the jackpot, she shares her winnings with Nina. As soon as everyone leaves, Alice and the suit go to the fortune teller, where they get the same predictions. Sometime later, the Rizia reports 907 units of a vortex in the Mutli Valley. At the palace, Rin tells Alice that the armies of the Empire are deployed towards the valley. She also reveals that the family of the zoo is postponing its report to her mother. They later encounter the Lord Mask, who reveals that the report was postponed. In the valley, the troops meet one of the members of the Order of Holy Disciples named Nameless. During a search for a vortex of units, 907 report that one of the units is missing. When they return to base, the Nameless decides not to send a rescue party. Later that night, Alice decides to go to the valley herself. When Alice Iron arrives at the vortex, the Lord Mask appears a Zoo Nebulis. The man explains that he wants to start an all-out war with the Empire. Meanwhile, in 907, Division is monitoring the Mutal Valley when they notice astral light. Heading for the light source, they stumble upon another division, which admits that they are actually astral magicians. Suddenly, the Nameless man arrives and destroys the unit, although one of them managed to escape with the misses. When the girl arrives, the fox decides to take the opportunity to go to the Imperial Army base. Sometime after the lawsuit, there is a vortex to save the comrade. It is then that the zoo demonstrates its power. On the base, Alice fights the Nameless one. The suit and the zoo fight each other, and the lawsuit is won. After that, the Lord Mask throws Miss Whirlwind. Then the lawsuit jumps to save her, and Alice follows them. Thanks to the girl's help, the three of them survive. Alice remembers her previous meeting with the lawsuit, which invites them to go to a neutral city. Meanwhile, Unit 907 is in her office where Miss is complaining of a pain in her shoulder. Then Rizia gives them the task of penetrating into the Misty Sovereignty. Sometime later, Alice and Rin seeks the claim in a neutral city. Back at the office of 907 Division, everyone discovers that Miss is now an astral poppy. Despite this, the genie's lawsuit is not decided to remain loyal to her. The next day, the lawsuit and Miss Misfits are entertained in a neutral city. When they break up, Alice approaches him. After a while, an Iran appears to treat them with juice. As soon as he takes a sip, Reed loses consciousness. Reed reveals that she drugged his juice. She then admits that she did not expect him to actually drink it. When they took the suit away, the missus returns and tries to stop them. However, Alice freezes her leg. Rice later informs the Emperor that the claim is captured. After persuading Alice, Rin decides to take the claim to the Alcatraz. Meanwhile, Ria reports to the Act on the situation. She then reveals that Salinger holds the Transcendent there too. She then travels to the 907 Division office, where she uses a gadget so that Miss and Jin can work undercover as astral magicians. In Alcatraz, the lawsuit awakens earlier than expected, while the rest of 907 units successfully cross the border. At the hotel, Rin volunteered to look after the lawsuit. 909 Division in the meantime meets with Rizia. Back at the hotel, as soon as Alice leaves the room, Rin tries to kill the claim. However, she is stopped when Alice returns. In the prison tower, the Oligon Jenny realizes that the Empire has ulterior motives for this mission. Later, Ri meets the Salinger. Ray explains to Salinger that she is going to help him escape. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Rin informs Alice that someone has broken into the hotel. 97th Division is surrounded by guards when they hear an explosion. Then they get a call from Rizia, who lies about the situation. Rin later tells Alice that Salinger has run off or something, and they leave the lawsuit behind. Meanwhile, Miss Missy acts as a decoy that allows Jin and Neen to remove the guards. When they finally contact the lawsuit, it turns out that he is stuck in a hotel, until he realizes that Alice has secretly left the key so that he can escape. Then he too goes into the thick of it. Once she finds the Salinger, she challenges him to a duel and eventually suffers a crushing defeat. Just as the Salinger is about to kill Rin, the lawsuit saves her. During the battle, he promised Rin that if he defeated Salinger, she would not stop him and his friends until they crossed the border. Meanwhile, at the palace, the Schwarz is reporting the situation. Sisnabul's 9. At the same time, the Rin helps lawsuits, and the Alice briefly encounters the Nameless. Alice then appears at the scene of the iron suit, allowing the main character to turn the situation against the Salinger. As such, the Salinger decides to escape. The next morning, Arin informs Alice that the prisoners are accounted for and the Imperial soldiers are returned. It is revealed in the Empire that the Rizia was the one who actually opposed Alice, as the real Nameless reports that the central province of sovereignty has penetrated. In the meantime, Unit 9 to 7 is headed home together. In the palace, Alice Iron talks about the lawsuit when it turns out that there was a spy behind them. She soon realizes that the suit is the same Imperial soldier who saved her. Rizi meets with the Emperor, where he reports to him. At the palace, the Queen commands her to go to Ax Maria, an independent state, to find out if they have sided with the Empire. Meanwhile, Unit 9 to 7 is on hiatus when Michaela, a member of the Cardinal Medical Group, sends them on forced leave for 60 days due to exhaustion. Alice and Sister-in-Chief were talking to the Lord of the Mask. When the 97th Division arrives at the wax farm, they spend the day having fun. After they break up, she is confronted with a lawsuit and decides to follow him. Back at the palace, the Queen of Alice and Rin enter the Sisball room. There, Alice discovers that he knew about the lawsuit, while he asked the lawsuit to go with her to the castle. Sis was thankful to the lawsuit for saving her a year earlier, and he wonders why she wants him to accompany her to the castle. When the girl leaves, she swears she won't give up. Meanwhile, at the palace, Rin convinces the queen to allow Alice to go to the former city hall so that she can talk to her privately. In the Empire, the Ahet decides to turn the object against the Shiz. The next day, the claim is too preoccupied with thoughts about the conversation that he had in the evening. Elizabeth meanwhile tells the Lord of the Mask that she believes her sisters can be given sovereignty. Thus, the Masked Lord agrees to look into the matter. As Alice travels to the ex-mayor's office, she notices giant tracks that lead in the same direction. Later, the lawsuit leaves its friends to meet with the Sisbul. After she reveals the reason why she needs his help, they face the Lord Mask. When he tries to escape, she becomes a target. While the lawsuit and the Ni fight the object, the Lord Mask tries to intervene, but is stopped by the Jinn. Nemesis distracts the Lord with a mask and eventually corners him. Gin manages to shoot the opponent, but he gets into the recorder, which contained evidence of communication with the Siswas. The Lord Mask then attempts to burn them with gasoline, but misuses her astral powers to extinguish the flames. And the Jinni shoots the Lord's Mask, which causes him to retreat, then retreats with the rest of the team to evacuate the citizens. While the Suit and Shizba are fighting the object, during the battle, the astral spirit comes out and lures the Shizba into the trap inside. Suddenly, an Alice appears, which leads them to reunite with the lawsuit again. After the fight, he asked if Alice and the lawsuit knew what they denied. Then he said that he wanted the lawsuit to be her knight. However, the boy manages to escape the situation when his friends call him. My story is over, and if you liked my video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video.